Have you ever had this brilliant idea, something you really wanted to start, but the thought of that first step, of that blank page, just completely paralyzed you? Well, today we're diving into a single, anonymous blog post that just perfectly captures that feeling. It's a raw, honest manifesto for anyone who's ever been afraid to begin. Let's break it down.
So, right out of the gate, the author shows us their struggle with the very first line. They tried the classic, "Hi, my name is," but nah, they immediately tossed it. Why? Because it's what everyone does. It's safe, it's predictable, and honestly, it's just boring. It doesn't get at the real feeling behind starting something new.
Okay, so attempt number 2. They tried to get more practical, setting a deadline for themselves. I gave myself 2 hours, but they scrapped that one too. It just felt, as they put it, too operational. It's all about the how instead of the why, you know? It immediately puts you in this box of pressure and process, which is exactly what they were trying to escape. And then, of course, there's the humor attempt. It is I, the prophesied one, which, is pretty funny. But even that gets cut. Why? Because it's not true. It's a persona. It's a mask. And the whole point of this entire exercise was to finally be authentic, not to hide behind another clever line. And this is where they finally land. After all the drafts, all the second guessing, the perfect opening line wasn't perfect at all. It was just true. Help, I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, that is so raw, so vulnerable, and so incredibly relatable. This isn't just an intro anymore. It's the entire soul of the post, which leads us perfectly into our first section, a cry for help. Because that line, that admission, it's not really about writer's block. It's a signal of something much, much deeper. It's about that sinking feeling of being trapped, building someone else's dream instead of your own. And here we get right to the heart of it. The author just lays it all out. The core problem is this profound lack of control, of agency. This isn't just a bad day at work we're talking about. It's that gnawing, systemic feeling that you're not really in the driver's seat of your own life. And wow, this metaphor is just so powerful, isn't it? Tired of building someone else's cathedral while I have to live in a tent. It just perfectly captures that feeling of pouring your heart and soul into some huge project for your job, making it amazing, only to feel like you get the leftovers. You build the monument, but you never get to live there. And then they layer on this very modern, very real anxiety, the constant threat of becoming obsolete. That your skills, everything you've worked for, could be devalued and replaced, not even by another person, but by an algorithm. It just adds this whole other level of insecurity to everything. So, with all that frustration, what do? Well, that brings us to section 2, 3 monumental hypotheses. This is the moment the author decides to just act. No map, no grand plan, just a leap of faith, guided by a few core ideas. But before we even get to those ideas, you have to appreciate this. Their starting point, 0. A big, round 0. 0 followers, 0 audience, 0 safety net. This is literally them shouting into the void, which makes what they decide to do next even more incredible. So what's the strategy when you have nobody listening? It's not really a strategy at all. It's more of a philosophy, and it boils down to these 3 beliefs. 1, just starting is way more important than having a perfect plan. 2, you actually can grow something from absolutely nothing. And 3, and this one is huge, clarity doesn't come from thinking alone in a dark room. It comes from actually doing things and engaging with real people. Now, taking a leap like this is, frankly, terrifying. And the author knew it. It was so daunting that the only way they felt they could even start was to do it anonymously. Anonymity became this kind of shield, right? It gave them the freedom to be vulnerable, to experiment, and to risk making a complete fool of themselves without any real-world consequences. Okay, so that brings us to section 3, the meandering river. We've got the author's why, all that frustration, and we have their how, this leap of faith. But what is this whole journey actually about? Well, to get that, we have to look at the name they chose for this whole project. They call their blog Currents of Becoming. And that's not just a cool title. It's basically a mission statement. It fully embraces the idea that the path forward is never a straight line. It's a river. It's going to have fast parts and slow parts, twists and turns. The goal isn't to be efficient. The goal is to explore and grow and just flow. And where is this river ultimately heading? Well, the destination is twofold. First, it's about finding clarity, figuring out life and purpose. But second, and this is just as important, it's about using that clarity to build a life where they can earn a living on their own terms and finally escape what they call the modern form of slavery. And this leads us right into our final section, a promise to you. To close out this whole manifesto, the author makes a pact. It's not just a promise to themselves, but to any random person who might find this. It's like a charter for a totally new kind of content. And the promises are so simple, but so powerful. First, total brutal honesty. No fake success stories, no pretending. Second, rock-solid consistency. A new post is coming every single Friday, no matter what. And third, and this feels so important right now, a commitment to being human. No AI-generated slop, just real, messy, human thoughts. It's all about building a real connection. And so this whole thing ends right where the journey begins, with that one simple, yet incredibly difficult act of just starting. This post isn't just one person's story. It's a mirror. It forces all of us to look at our own lives and ask that same question. So what is the first step that you're not taking?